I love that it's fall time and it's just cozy, and I just want to be wrapped up in books and read. It's great. Hey guys, it's Hannah and I'm here today with another video for you. So I was racking my brain all night trying to figure out what I wanted to film, and I have not done one of these, I don't think, and I just like wanted to do like a chill cozy video. So I have my mug full of like caramel apple cider in my like super cute Marauders map, which I don't think you can even tell, but it's adorable. I really love this mug. And I just thought I would do 25 bookish facts about me because I couldn't figure out anything else I wanted to do. Leave me a comment down below what video you want to see from me, because none of the tag videos that I was like coming across were really like calling my name. So leave me a comment below the like specific tag video that you want me to see or want me to do, or challenge video or anything like that. So let's get it on into it. Fact number 1 about me. Audiobooks are easy for me to listen to multiple audiobooks at once. However, physical books, I can only read so much without being overwhelmed. So audiobooks I can listen to multiple of. After about 3 to 4 physical books reading at the same time, I can't. I have to stop and I have to finish one because I get overwhelmed and overloaded and I need to separate it out. But for some reason, audiobooks sits in a different part of my brain that I can listen to multiple ones at a different time. I think it's because the voice actors like help me get in and out of the stories better. Fact number 2, my favorite place to listen to audiobooks is in the car. Fact number 3, I cannot listen to music while reading. I could never do it while I was like studying in high school or college. So I can't focus when it's music because I will get pulled out of it. So I don't know how you magical people listen to music while reading. I don't know how you do it because I can't focus. Like, but I have to like, I love doing the scenescapes. That's a bonus one. My favorite way to read is either putting on like rain sounds, or I know it's very on brand, or like if you look up Harry Potter scenescapes or ASMR rooms, top notch, top notch. There's a Hufflepuff room that's my absolute favorite, although the Slytherin dormitory is pretty cool too. There's also Shell Cottage. They're all great. I highly recommend putting those on while you're reading, and it just makes like such a amazing experience. So that's a bonus fact. When reading graphic novels, it irritates me to not just finish the whole thing. I hate stopping in the middle of a graphic novel. I don't know why, but I can't do it. If I'm gonna read a graphic novel, I'm gonna make time and carve out time to read the whole thing through. I can't chunk it up. If I do chunk it up, it's half. Like, I'll read it once and then I have to finish it. Like, there's no way that it's gonna take me like a couple weeks to read a graphic novel, because I just can't. Like, I gotta do it all at once. I can't. Fact number 4 is I let the hype get to me way too easily. So like, I'll watch BookTube and I spend hours watching BookTube, and I'll just have a list of books that I want to read, like people mention, and I'm like, it's not even that it sounds super interesting to me. I just like, I get their hype and I'm like, oh man, that's so good. Like, I want to feel that hype. Like, I want to fall in love with a book like that. Like, yes, I'm gonna read it. And then it turns into me buying and owning a lot of books that were hyped up by someone else that I didn't super were hyped up about, but I bought them because I wanted to feel that hype too, and I wanted to be on that same hype train, and I'm way too susceptible to hype. Fact number 5 is my favorite bookish accessories are either mugs or candles, and I have a lot of both and I absolutely adore it. It's like, even if I don't know the book that's associated with candle, I still get excited because I still love candles, and I just like, I'm like, it makes me want to pick up the book even more, because I'm like, I'm gonna burn this candle while I'm reading. I did that with the Raven Boys, and I was like so pleased that like I got to experience the book like as I was reading the book, like with the smell of the candle. It was top notch. Fact number 6, some of you might know already, which is I don't emote while I'm reading books. I very rarely laugh or cry or just have any outward experience. I always joke that I'm a robot when I read books, and I don't have that outward emoting. So if I do, I know that it's good. So I remember when I was listening to Lauren Graham's Talking as Fast as I Can audiobook, that's still one of the best audiobooks that I've listened to in I don't know how long, that just listening to Lorelai read to me and telling me about her life experiences, like, was so touching, and she had me like laughing and tearing up, and just incredible woman, incredible book. I highly recommend checking out the audiobook if you haven't, because it makes me want to go back and reread it. Or re-listen to it, I should say. Fact number 7 is one you all should definitely know by now, and that is my favorite Marvel character is Deadpool. I have several Deadpools around this room right now. I have a necklace, I have a matching belly button ring, and I have a lot of Deadpools and a lot of Deadpool graphic novels, and Deadpool is definitely my favorite Marvel character, and I am definitely a Marvel girl. Definitely choose Marvel over DC, although I am tiptoeing into DC a little bit. Fact number 8 is the Marauders map is one of my like most favorite items in the Bookish world. So I have mugs, I have several mugs, I have a purse made of it, I have a wallet made of it, I've had phone cases made of it, I have an actual map. I mean, I am very obsessed with the Marauders map, and just it's by far one of my favorite pieces from literature just in general, and I think it will always be. I've even considered getting like the little footprints as a tattoo somewhere. I haven't got it yet, but it's definitely been on the radar for me. My next bookish fact about me is I had never read a Harry Potter book until I met my husband Trevor, and I've been with Trevor for 8 years now, and I probably didn't read the Harry Potter books until maybe a year into meeting him, so at least 7 years ago was the first time that I read the Harry Potter books, but I didn't get to experience them along with everybody else. I had watched the movies growing up, not all of them, but I watched the movies like as they were coming out, and I didn't watch all of them, but I didn't get to experience the books first, which I'm so like bummed that I was robbed of that opportunity, that I didn't get to experience the books before the movies for Harry Potter, because Harry Potter is definitely one of my favorite franchises. My next bookish fact is kind of a funny one that I didn't realize until one of my friends pointed it out to me, is that I tend to favor vampires, which I know I like vampires, but I didn't really think anything of it. But I tend to favor vampires, and vampires originated from the horror genre, and I am terrified of the horror genre. I am such a big chicken, but I have such an affinity to vampires, and I have such a I'm so drawn to vampires just in general that you would think that I would be more open to horror, but I'm pretty set against not liking horror. But now that fact has come to light, it's made me open up my eyes a little bit, and maybe I could tiptoe into horror. My next bookish fact may surprise some of you, because I don't think I've ever talked about it before on my channel. I have never read a classic, at least for fun anyways. I've read a few for high school, but I've never read a classic like that everybody talks about on BookTube. So I've never read like Pride and Prejudice and things like that. I think the closest I could say was in high school I fell in love with Edgar Allan Poe stories, and as like an independent study I chose to dive into all of Edgar Allan Poe's stories and write a report on it. Again, you'd think that I'd be a little more open to horror, but I was in love with Edgar Allan Poe, and I read all of his stories and I loved them all. I mean, obviously I have favorites over the others, but I really enjoyed his writing and his stories. He was a little crazy, but it was very enjoyable. So that's the closest I could think of to classics that I read in high school. Otherwise, I think like I like spark notes like the rest of it. Don't do that, kids. Actually read the books in school, but you know, I definitely spark notes a lot of books in my high school reading career. My next bookish fact, it might surprise you, I had never read a graphic novel or a comic book until a few years ago, and now I read them all the time. Probably at least monthly I read them. I really enjoy them, and when I first started reading them, me and Trevor had a dream to have like a whole graphic novel bookshelf, and since then, like we've got a shelf of just graphic novels, but nowhere near as many as we want to own. And now, since working at a bookstore, I run into customers and they're like, yeah, I have like an entire garage full of like single issues, and I'm like hyperventilating like, oh my god, that sounds amazing. My next bookish fact is actually about my channel, which I'm sure I've mentioned sometime on my channel before, but I started my channel when I moved out to Oregon from Iowa, and we didn't know anybody. We had never even visited Oregon before. We just had researched where we might want to live. We knew we wanted to live out on the West Coast, and so we started researching them, and I decided, I weighed my options. It was like, Oregon's where we're going. That's where we're going. So we did everything over the phone, looked at things like pictures on the internet, and we just packed up all of our stuff and drove out here. Didn't know anybody out here. So we moved out here and we were alone. It was just me and Trevor, and it was quite terrifying, but also like felt so right for us. And now that we're here, like I absolutely adore it, and I wouldn't imagine us, well, I could imagine us other places, but I definitely fell in love with Oregon since being here. But back to the original point, I suck at making friends. I've always sucked at making friends. I'm introverted, so I did it to make it easier on myself to meet people, especially in a new setting, and I just wanted to make bookish friends and be able to connect with someone and have a support system even if it was online, and I'm so glad that I did. My next bookish fact is I definitely judge a book by its cover, especially if it has faces on it. One of my favorite series has faces on it, which is very unfortunate, but I cringe if it has faces on it. I'm like, what type of author would like that? Like, why would you approve that? And I know not all authors like have a say, but like, why would design teams think that was okay to put faces on covers? Like, no, just don't do it. So I'm a little bit terrified of this next bookish fact, because I'm afraid I'm gonna get a lot of dislikes on this one because of this one. But I am not the biggest Rick Riordan or Cassie Clare fan. I know, you see all those Rick Riordan books down there, huh? And you're like, why? Why? I thought you weren't a fan. What is that? Those are Trevor shelves. Also, I have the books. I'm just not like a super fan of it. It just doesn't grip me the way I do. However, I will say Cassie Clare's writing is outstanding because she weaves the story so well. It just doesn't quite jive with me. But I can respect the artful way that she writes and how intricate she weaves things in, and I have mad respect for both of these authors, but they're just not my cup of tea. My next bookish fact kind of ties in with an earlier one, and that is I have never read a horror book. Never, not once. I've never had an inkling to. I never liked horror movies growing up, so I kind of stayed away from everything, and I'm like, no. And I kind of feel that same way now, although I'm like dabbling into thriller, and I think that's like gonna be the stepping stone into horror maybe, but who knows. My next bookish fact is I collect Funko Pops based off book characters and comic book characters, like superhero Marvel characters. You can see a few of them here. You can see all of my Harry Potter ones back there. You guys probably already know that, but with that, I've always wanted a Funko Pop of myself because I think that would be phenomenal, and I like love seeing people customize Funko Pops, but they're hard because it's all the same mold, but I think that would be really freaking cool. My next bookish fact is another kind of controversial one. Don't hate me out there in the comments, but I kind of think Spider-Man is overrated. At least the movie versions. Like, we just have had so many Spider-Man origin stories, and I'm just kind of over him. And however, Spider-Man and Deadpool, still one of my favorite reads, favorite team-ups, like, love that. He just isn't one of my favorite characters. He is a bit quippy though, like he's winning me over because he's a bit quippy, and I've not read just plain Spider-Man graphic novels, so maybe if I actually like read into him like the original media, I would have a little more respect for him and a little more interest, but movie based, I'm kind of over it. I just, meh. Although I'm loving the like Tony Stark Spider-Man dynamic going on, and that like tugs at my heartstrings every time because I am such a Tony lover. So my next bookish fact is probably one that we can all relate to, and that is I have a dream to have my own library. I know it kind of looks like it just from like my filming perspective, but this is like maybe half of my room right here. I really want like wall-to-wall big rooms of library, like just bookcases, and that would be my dream. And I want to have like a wall-to-wall room. Even if it's a tiny room, I would love to have a wall-to-wall room of a library, and one day I'm gonna get there. I'm slowly building. If you look back at my very old videos, which don't do the horrendous, but if you look back, I had one very short, very tiny bookcase, and I've come from here, so it is growing. My next bookish fact is I would love to be a writer and stay at home with my cats and write all day and be able to spend my days in fictional worlds. However, I just don't have those stories in my brain that are clawing to get out, and I desperately wish I had that creativity in my head. I've tried to write, and it's just does not come easily to me. It's so hard for me to form ideas that are not just recycled ideas from other people, and I'm way jealous of people who have those multiple storylines and so much wanting to get out, and I would love that because I have the dedication and time to like sit down and focus to be able to do it. I just don't have those ideas in my brain. My next bookish fact is I have a really hard time rating books 1s and 2s. I have a really hard time because I know how much authors put into their work and how much they put their whole heart and soul out there, and how brave it is for them to put their work on the line and let people judge them. And so I have such a hard time being that harsh to them unless it's like super offensive. But I have such a hard time giving it such a low rating. Same with DNF books. I have such a hard time DNFing books because this is someone's baby and I want to like give it a fair shot type of thing. So I usually, if it's like okay but it's not like great and I wouldn't reread it, it's usually a 3-star for me. My next bookish fact is I prefer hardcovers over paperbacks, but if I am going to the beach, I prefer ebooks over everything because I don't want sand in any of my books. My next bookish fact is I have a sweet spot for culinary books. So books that they're caterers in and they have recipes, or just like home bakers and they have recipes in the books, and that just is like such a cozy feeling for me that I have such a sweet spot for that. So I definitely I have a lot of books on my shelf that have not been read, but I enjoy having them on my bookshelf, and I would like that I have that option of having that coziness there to eventually pick up. And I think my very last bookish fact about me is nerdy bookish friends are the absolute best, and they are my people. I am so fortunate that I have made some just outstanding, wonderful people in my life. I work at a bookstore, so I've met friends through there, and on BookTube I've met one of my best friends through BookTube, which is Gabby over at Gabs About Books, and I am so blessed that I have been able to find where my people are. And if you are out there and you haven't found your type of people, keep looking, because it really makes such a difference. I loved my friends in high school, but they just weren't bookish people. Not all of them were. I had maybe one bookish friend, and it just feels so much different when you find your bookish friends and you find people that are really like get you on that level. And I'm so thankful that I have found bookish people and a bookish community where I feel at home, and I'm forever grateful that this exists. And if you guys are wanting to join, just do it. I know it's scary, but it's totally worth the risk because you find your people here and it feels like home. So that is all for this 25 bookish facts about me. Leave me a comment down below letting me know if you learned anything new here, and I will check back in with you guys in my next video. Thank you guys for watching. Bye!